Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when the human heart feels chained by invisible barriers. When no matter how hard a person works, it seems as if financial doors remain locked and opportunities are just out of reach. Many listening right now are carrying burdens so heavy that you wonder if the weight of them will ever lift. You prayed, you struggled, you fought through sleepless nights, and you've asked, when will things change for me? Let me tell you today, with every fiber of conviction within me, God is breaking every financial limitation now. Not tomorrow, not next year, not someday in the distant future. Now the power of God is not bound by time, not limited by the economy, not restrained by human opinions, and not held hostage by what men say you can or cannot do. When God decides to open the windows of heaven, no power on earth can shut them. You may be looking at your circumstances and thinking that this promise could never apply to you. You may have grown up in a family where lack was all you knew. You may be staring at debts that look like mountains, bills that pile higher than your strength, responsibilities that outnumber your resources. But hear this truth and hear it. Wealth, financial limitations are not permanent when the living God steps in. What seems immovable in the eyes of man is dust before the breath of God. He is not limited to your salary. He is not confined to your education. And he is not dependent upon your earthly connections. He owns all resources. Yet he commands all provision. And he has power to place in your hand what you could never have imagined holding. I want you to realize this financial limitation is more than numbers on paper. It is a mindset. It is a spirit that seeks to keep you bound, to whisper that you will never rise, to convince you that you are destined to remain stuck where you are. But God never created you to live in chains of insufficiency. He never designed your life to be a cycle of just enough to survive. God is a God of abundance, a God who delights in lifting the humble, a God who has promised to make rivers flow in the desert and bread fall from heaven if necessary. If he could feed a multitude in a barren wilderness, do you think he is unable to provide for you today? No, he can break every limitation the world has placed upon your life, even the ones you have accepted as unchangeable. You see the danger of financial limitation. It is not only the lack of resources, it is the way it conditions your thinking. It tells you to expect little, to settle for less, to walk through life with your head down, never daring to believe that you could step into something greater. That is why when God begins to move, he does not only release provision into your life, he breaks the inner prison of small thinking. He teaches you to expect miracles, to anticipate breakthroughs, to walk as though abundance is not a dream, but a destiny. God does not call you to scrape by at the bottom of life's barrel. He calls you to walk in the confidence that he can lift you higher than your background, higher than your environment, higher than the walls others have built around you. And let me tell you, when God breaks a limitation, he does it in such a way that no one can deny it was him. He lifts a person from obscurity into influence, from lack into provision, from struggle into stability, until the very people who once looked down on you are forced to admit that the hand of God is upon your life. That is the power of the one who rules heaven and earth. He is not intimidated by your credit report. He is not discouraged by the scarcity of your bank account. He is not shaken by recessions or downturns. He is the God who can turn famine into plenty, drought into harvest, captivity into freedom. Right now, I want you to picture the very limitations that have haunted your financial life. The debts, the lack, the cycles of insufficiency, the doors that always seem to close just when you thought you were making progress. Hold them in your mind for a moment. And now hear this declaration. God is shattering them. He is tearing them apart. He is removing the chains that have been wrapped around your resources. He is uprooting the weeds that have strangled your growth. He is silencing the voice that said you would never rise. The same God who parts seas and moves mountains is moving for you. The same God who raises nations and casts down empires is lifting you. The same God who holds the stars in his hands holds your future in his hands. And he is declaring that financial limitation will not be your portion, but you must believe it. You must rise within yourself and refuse to settle any longer for the crumbs when your Father has prepared a table. Limitation thrives in the soil of doubt, but it dies in the atmosphere of faith. The moment you begin to believe that God has more for you, the chains of poverty begin to snap. The moment you dare to expect His provision, doors begin to swing open. And the moment you align your words and your actions with the belief that He is your source, resources begin to flow in ways you never thought possible. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where God is taking you. And today that bridge is being built stronger than ever before. Some of you have been told that your worth is tied to what you earn. You've been made to feel that because you struggle financially, you are somehow less valuable, less capable, less significant. That is a lie straight from the pit of despair. Your worth does not come from your wallet. It comes from the one who created you. God has placed greatness inside of you, and no financial limitation can erase it. But what God is doing now is aligning your external resources with the internal treasure He already planted within you. He is bringing your outer life into agreement with the inner calling He has placed upon you. And when He does this, you will not only have enough for yourself, you will have more than enough to bless others. Because let me tell you, God never breaks limitations just so you can live comfortably. He breaks them so that you can become a channel, a vessel through which His abundance flows to others. He wants you to be the answer to someone else's prayer, the evidence of His goodness in someone else's struggle. He wants people to look at your life and say, only God could have done this. And when they do, His name will be glorified, His power will be acknowledged, and His kingdom will advance. Do not be deceived into thinking that God delights in your struggle. No, He delights in your faith. He delights in your growth. He delights in your ability to trust Him when the numbers don't add up. But He is not glorified by you being stuck in permanent lack. He is glorified when you rise in spite of it, when you testify of how He provided against all odds, when you declare that He is your source no matter what the world says. That is why today I say again with boldness and assurance, God is breaking every financial limitation. Now this is not just a possibility, it is a present reality. If you will open your heart to believe. When you look through the stories of old, you will find that whenever God moved to bless His people, He never left them trapped in insufficiency. When He spoke to those who were bound by slavery, He did not simply free them and leave them wandering empty-handed. He brought them out with provision, with resources, with more than enough to step into their new life. This is the nature of God. He is not a God of half deliverance. He does not remove you from the prison only to leave you standing outside with nothing in your hand. He equips you. He empowers you. He places something in your grasp so that you know it is He who has given you the power to rise. Financial limitation wants you to believe that your life will always be marked by not enough. But God is rewriting your story. He is declaring that where there has been lack, there shall be overflow. Where there has been scarcity, there shall be abundance. Where there have been closed doors, there shall be open gates. God is not bound by the records of your past. He is preparing you for a future that is beyond your imagination. The day you begin to walk in this truth is the day the chains of limitation lose their grip on you forever. Let me remind you of this powerful truth. God never measures His provision by what you deserve. He measures it by His own greatness. If He were to give you only according to what you thought you earned, you would be left with scraps. But when He chooses to bless, He blesses according to His boundless resources, His limitless treasures, His infinite mercy. That is why when He breaks financial limitations, it often feels overwhelming. Suddenly opportunities arise that you never worked for. Suddenly connections are made that you could never have orchestrated. Suddenly doors open that no human hand could have unlocked. That is the signature of God. He does not bless according to the size of your bank account. He blesses according to the size of His majesty. Do not mistake this for chance. Do not think that what is happening now is coincidence. God has deliberate in how He moves. He knows the nights you cried, wondering how you would make it through. He has seen the prayers you whispered when no one else could hear. He has not ignored your faithfulness. And now He is acting on your behalf. Every tear you shed in the dark was a seed planted in the soil of His mercy. And now those seeds are blossoming into a harvest of provision. When God moves, He does not delay without purpose. Every moment you thought was wasted was in fact preparation. Every delay was sharpening your faith. Every setback was positioning you for a breakthrough that would silence the doubts of every skeptic around you. Hear me well, you. Financial limitation is not only about money, it is about control. It is about silencing your voice, restricting your influence, keeping you too busy surviving to ever step into the fullness of your calling. That is why God is not only giving you provision, He is restoring your voice. He is granting you freedom to walk in purpose without the weight of constant worry about survival. He is lifting your eyes from the ground to the horizon because He does not want you to live in survival mode. He wants you to live in destiny mode. He is not only breaking the chains of lack. He is releasing the boldness within you to dream again, to believe again, to plan for more than just tomorrow. Some of you have been afraid to think bigger because the shadow of limitation has loomed over you for so long. You have trained yourself to shrink your expectations so that disappointment will not crush you. But God is saying to you today, lift your eyes, widen your vision, stretch out your hands, for He is ready to fill them with blessings you have never known. You do not serve a God of scarcity. You serve a God who can multiply what is small into what is great, who can turn a single seed into a forest, who can transform the little you hold into more than enough. And let me tell you this, when financial limitations are broken, it is not only for your comfort, it is for the demonstration of God's power in the earth. When people see you rise, when they see how God has taken you from a place of not enough to more than enough, they will know that it was not luck, it was not coincidence, it was not human effort, it was the hand of God. And in that moment, your life becomes a testimony, a living declaration that God is alive, that He provides, that He is faithful to those who trust in Him. But beware of this. When God breaks your limitations, do not allow pride to take root. But do not forget the days of struggle and the nights of prayer. For the same God who lifts you is the same God who sustains you. And it is humility that keeps the flow of His blessing constant. Remember that your provision is not only for you. It is a tool, a weapon, a resource to impact others. The abundance God is releasing into your life is meant to extend beyond your household. It is meant to touch the widow, the orphan, the broken, the struggling, the ones who are where you once were. God blesses you so that you may become a vessel of His generosity, a carrier of His compassion, an answer to prayers you may never hear. Now hear me, because this is important. The limitations of your past cannot dictate the blessings of your future. Too many people chain themselves to their own history, replaying failures, rehearsing mistakes, reminding themselves of every time they came up short. But when God declares a new season, the weight of your past has no authority to hold you back. If He has chosen to release you, then you are released. If He has chosen to provide, then you will be provided for. If He has chosen to elevate you, then no voice, no force, no power on earth can bring you down. Financial limitation is being broken. And when God breaks it, it shatters permanently. When God begins to break limitations, the very environment around you starts to change. Opportunities you once chased will begin to chase you. Doors that seemed welded shut will swing wide open with ease. People who overlooked you will suddenly be reminded of your name. Circumstances that once strained you will now empower you. This is how God moves. He not only shifts your situation, He shifts the very atmosphere around you. He makes the crooked places straight and the rough places smooth, so that you may walk with confidence into the destiny He has prepared for you. Do not underestimate what God is doing now. Some of you are waiting for signs, waiting for confirmations, waiting for circumstances to align before you believe. But understand this truth. When God decrees a thing, it is already established in the unseen before you ever witness it in the seen. Financial limitations are breaking in the spiritual realm even before your eyes. Your eyes can perceive it in the physical. And once the Word of God is released, nothing can stop it from manifesting. The delay you feel is not denial, it is preparation. God is arranging details behind the scenes, aligning people, shifting events, moving resources so that when the door opens, you will step through it without hindrance. The tragedy of limitation is that it convinces you to live below your God-given potential. It whispers that you cannot build, you cannot expand, you cannot dream beyond survival. But God is silencing those lies. He is reminding you that you were created for more than scraping by. You were created to reflect His greatness, to manifest His provision, to be a living testimony of His generosity. Financial limitation does not define you. It is only a temporary shadow. And today, God is lifting that shadow and causing His light to shine on your path. Where there was darkness, there will be clarity. Where there was scarcity, there will be plenty. Where there was despair, there will be hope. I say to you, do not be afraid of the abundance that is coming. Some of you have become so accustomed to lack that when God begins to bless you, you would be tempted to shrink back, to question whether you deserve it, to doubt whether it will last. But remember, what God provides is not fragile. It is not like the unstable promises of men. It is rooted in His power, secured by His will, and established by His decree, when He gives in a way that cannot be overturned. No man can revoke what God has appointed. No system can block what God has released. No adversary can cancel what God has ordained. And understand this, the breaking of financial limitations is not only for your individual gain. It is for the elevation of your family, for the transformation of generations, for the rewriting of your bloodline story. God is setting in motion blessings that will not end with you. They will flow through you to your children and your children's children. He is breaking cycles that held your ancestors and ensuring they will not hold those who come after you. He is replacing generational scarcity with generational abundance. What you receive now will plant seeds of prosperity that others will reap long after you are gone. That is the greatness of God. He thinks not only of your present, but of your future legacy. But hear this warning. Limitation is not only broken by what God does externally, it is broken by what you allow Him to do internally. If your mind remains small, if your vision remains narrow, if your faith remains weak, then no amount of provision will sustain you. God is not only filling your hands, He is enlarging your heart. He is stretching your capacity to handle more, to believe for more, to steward more. He wants you to think differently, speak differently, act. For too long, financial limitation has trained your tongue to speak defeat, your mind to expect little, your heart to anticipate loss. But now God is retraining you to think with abundance, to declare with confidence, to expect with boldness. Consider this. When a bird is caged, even when the door is open, it hesitates to fly. Years of confinement make freedom feel unfamiliar. In the same way, years of financial limitation can make abundance feel uncomfortable. But God is commanding you to spread your wings. Do not sit in the cage when the gate has been thrown open. Do not cling to scraps when a feast is laid before you. Do not shrink your vision when God is enlarging your territory. Fly into the freedom He has ordained for you. I must tell you, there will be resistance. Whenever God breaks limitations, forces of doubt and fear will rise to challenge you. There will be voices around you and within you that say, this cannot last. This is too good to be true. You are not worthy of this. But you must silence those voices with the truth of God's power. It is not about your worthiness. It is about His greatness. It is not about your weakness. It is about His strength. It is not about your resources. It is about His limitless storehouse. And once you anchor your faith in Him alone, no resistance can undo what He has begun. And know, this abundance is not meant to make you forget God. It is meant to draw you nearer to Him. Limitation often pushes people to their knees, but abundance tests whether they will remain there. Do not let the blessings make you arrogant. Do not let the provision make you forget the provider. The same God who breaks your financial limitations is the same God who desires your heart, your gratitude, your obedience. Honor Him with what He gives you. Use what He places in your hand as a tool for good, as a blessing to others, as a testimony of His faithfulness. That is how the flow of provision continues. By keeping God at the center of it all, lift your head high and know this. The days of constant struggle are being replaced with days of provision. The seasons of dryness are giving way to seasons of fruitfulness. The valley of lack is leading you to a mountain of abundance. God has heard your cries, seen your struggles, and marked this as your moment of release. The same power that formed the heavens and the earth is now forming a new chapter in your life. And when God writes a new chapter, it cannot be erased. When God moves to break financial limitations, He is not merely changing your bank balance. He is transforming your position in life. He is repositioning you in places you never thought you would stand, bringing you into circles you never thought you would enter, giving you influence you never thought you could carry. For too long, financial limitation has tried to keep you hidden, small, and silent. But when God lifts you, no force can keep you in the shadows. He elevates you not by the systems of men, but by the decree of His own will. You must understand this. Financial limitation is not just about numbers, it is about identity. It seeks to brand you as insignificant, to label you as one who cannot rise, to convince you that you are defined by what you lack. But God is stripping away those false labels. He is placing His own seal upon you, declaring that you are chosen, capable, destined for more than you have yet seen. When God declares a new name over you, the old one loses its power. You are not a victim of scarcity. You are a vessel of abundance. You are not marked by insufficiency. You are marked by the favor of God. And when this favor flows, it will do more than sustain you. It will overflow from you. God does not release provision in droughts. He releases it in rivers. Rivers are not stagnant. They are moving. They are flowing. They are meant to spread. In the same way, what God is placing in your life is not meant to be hoarded. It is meant to move through you, to water dry ground, to lift those around you, to bring refreshment where there has been drought. You are not called to be a reservoir. You are called to be a channel. The more you release, the more God will pour in, for His supply does not run out. Let me tell you something powerful. Many people fear wealth because they think it will corrupt them. But it is not wealth that corrupts. It is forgetting the one who gives it. Wealth in the hands of the faithful is not dangerous. It is divine. It becomes a tool, a testimony, a weapon against the chains of poverty that bind so many. God is not afraid of you being blessed. He is afraid of you forgetting Him when you are. That is why He prepares your heart before He releases His provision. He is not only shaping your circumstances, He is shaping your character. He wants you to stand in abundance without losing humility, to hold resources without losing reverence, to prosper outwardly while remaining anchored inwardly in Him. This is why the breaking of financial limitation often comes after seasons of struggle. God allows you to feel the weight of lack so that when abundance arrives, you will never forget who carried you. He allows you to taste insufficiency so that gratitude will remain alive in your spirit when He brings plenty. He teaches you patience in the desert so that you will not take the rivers for granted when they flow. Every delay has purpose. Every setback has meaning. And when the appointed time comes, all of it will make sense. Look at how God works. He does not lift you only a little. He lifts you in such a way that the very limitations that once held you become testimonies of His greatness. The debts that once threatened to drown you will become stories of deliverance you will share with others. The nights you wondered how you would make it will become the evidence of God's sustaining hand. The very areas where you suffered lack will become the very areas where you shine in abundance. For when God restores, He does not restore halfway. He restores completely, and He restores abundantly. I want you to grasp this truth. Financial limitation is being broken not because of who you are, but because of who God is. He has chosen to reveal His greatness in your life. He has chosen to demonstrate that He alone is the source, the provider, the sustainer. If it were by your strength, the glory would belong to you. But because it is by His hand, the glory belongs to Him alone. This is why the abundance that is coming cannot be explained by logic. It cannot be traced back to human calculation. It cannot be dismissed as coincidence. It will be clear that it was God and only God who made the difference. Some of you listening right now are afraid to believe this. You have faced disappointment so often that hope feels dangerous. You have trained your heart to settle so that you will not feel crushed when expectations are unmet. But hear this: God is not like men. He does not promise what He cannot deliver. He does not speak only to silence you with delay. If He has declared that limitations are breaking, then they are breaking. If He has said that provision is coming, then it is on the way. Do not let past wounds keep you from receiving present blessings. And let us not forget, financial freedom is not only about what enters your life. It is about what leaves your life. God is removing the devourers, the constant drains, the unnecessary burdens that eat away at your resources. He is silencing the enemies that have profited from your struggle. He is breaking the cycles that made your increase vanish as quickly as it arrived. He is establishing stability where there was once instability, peace where there was once anxiety, order where there was once chaos. This too is the breaking of limitation. Not just receiving more, but keeping more, growing more, stewarding more. When God decides to shift a life, He does not ask permission from circumstances. He does not consult your past failures or the opinions of others. He does not need the approval of institutions or the support of systems. When God says enough, the bondage ends. When God says rise, no weight can hold you down. When God says be free, every chain must break. Right now, He is speaking that word over your finances, over your household, over your destiny. The chains of limitation are not only weakening, they are shattering under the weight of His command. Understand this, limitation thrives where faith is absent. It feeds on doubt, it grows in fear, it multiplies in hopelessness. That is why the enemy of your soul always wants to keep you believing that your life will never change. But God is awakening a new faith within you. A faith that does not look at the size of the problem, but at the greatness of the provider. A faith that refuses to bow to the reports of men and chooses instead to trust the decree of heaven. A faith that dares to declare abundance even when the cupboards are empty, that proclaims freedom even while the chains are still visible. This kind of faith is dangerous to every limitation because once it takes root, nothing can stop its harvest. Do not be deceived into thinking that your environment has the final say. You may have been born into lack. You may be surrounded by people who cannot see beyond struggle. You may live in a system that seems designed to keep you small, but none of that is greater than God. He can lift you above every environment, position you in places that no one from your background has ever reached, and establish you where others thought you would never belong. God does not consult statistics when He blesses. He writes new ones. He writes new ones. He does not calculate based on human predictions. He defies them. What seems impossible for others becomes inevitable when God is involved. And listen to me. The breaking of financial limitation is not just about material provision. It is about freedom of spirit, freedom of mind, freedom of purpose. It is about no longer being enslaved to worry, no longer waking up with the weight of fear pressing on your chest, no longer silencing your dreams because your resources seem too small. God is setting you free to breathe again, to hope again, to build again, to live again. He is cutting the cords that tied your identity to your lack. And He is declaring that you are defined not by what you own, but by who owns you. God Almighty, the possessor of all things. There is something you must grasp. When God breaks financial limitations, it is not only for you to consume. It is for you to create. He gives you resources so you can build something that lasts, so you can establish foundations that generations will stand upon. Too many live only to survive today. But God is calling you to think generationally. He is calling you to plant trees under whose shade you may never sit, to dig wells from which your children's children will drink. When you walk in His abundance, you become a builder, a planter, a multiplier. You are no longer a victim of cycles. You are the author of a new one. But remember, the breaking of limitation requires alignment. God is moving, but you must move with Him. Do not cling to the habits of lack when He is calling you into the discipline of abundance. Do not waste what He provides as if it has no purpose. Every coin, every opportunity, every connection He sends into your life is a seed. If you plant it in obedience, it will multiply. If you squander it in neglect, it will wither. God is faithful to give, but He is also watching how you handle what He places in your hand. And the more faithful you are, the more He entrusts to you. Look at the patterns of your life and see how God has carried you. Even in your lowest moments, you did not collapse completely. Even in the times when you thought you had nothing left, somehow you made it through. That was not by your own strength. That was God sustaining you, teaching you, preparing you for this very season. He has been training your spirit in the wilderness so you will know how to walk in the land of promise. He has been stretching your patience so you will know how to handle blessing without arrogance. So rise up with courage and let your life become the living testimony that no limitation is stronger than the power of God. Every scar, every trial, and every setback you've endured is not evidence of defeat, but proof that His hand has carried you through. The obstacles that once seemed immovable are no match for the one who created heaven and earth. What the world calls impossible, God calls finished. When you stand in faith, you stand not in your own strength, but in the eternal power of the Almighty who has declared victory over your life. Do not let fear keep you in the shadows, and do not allow doubt to silence your voice. The chains that tried to hold you captive have already been broken. They fell the moment God spoke His word of freedom over you. The prison doors you thought were locked have already swung wide open. You are no longer bound by the mistakes of yesterday or the worries of tomorrow. Grace has rewritten your story, mercy has renewed your hope, and love has crowned you with new identity. Walk forward boldly into the life God has prepared for you. Every step you take is a declaration that you trust His plan more than you fear the unknown. The blessings you have been praying for are already in motion, released from heaven to meet you in God's perfect timing. What you thought was delayed is not denied. What you thought was lost is being restored in greater measure. For God's word never returns empty. It always accomplishes what He has spoken. And remember, the same God who breathed stars into existence and called light out of darkness is the same God who has called freedom, healing, and abundance into your life. He is not distant, nor is He silent. He is with you now, closer than your next breath, speaking truth over every lie that tried to define you. His promises are not fragile. They are unshakable. His love is not conditional, it is everlasting. His power is not limited, it is infinite. So stand tall and let your life shine as a testimony. Not just in words, but in how you live, in the way you forgive, in the way you endure, and in the way you love. People will see in you not perfection, but redemption. They will witness in you not human effort, but divine transformation. And through your story, God will be glorified. Nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop what He has begun in you. Not the opinions of others, not the weight of your past, not even the schemes of the enemy. For when God opens a door, no one can shut it. When God declares freedom, chains have no choice but to break. When God pours out blessing, it will overflow beyond your imagination. Rise up then, not with hesitation, but with holy confidence. Step into this new season knowing you are chosen, loved, and unstoppable. For the power of God in you is greater than anything that comes against you.